Hey guys, let's continue our course with our further discussion on functions and pointers. So basically, we will start with what are pointers and what are functions. Firstly, functions. A function is a self-contained block of statements that perform a coherent task of some kind. It means that suppose you want to do one task, and while doing that task there are some part in the process which is going to repeat many times. So what you will do, you will create some functions there, and to each function you will give some task, and while doing the task in completion you will call that function, and that function will perform a particular task which you have given to it. For example, a bi-monthly servicing of your motorbike. When you want it to be done, you go to the service station and say it's time to do it now. You don't need to give instruction because the mechanic knows his job. You don't need to be told when the job is done. You assume the bike would be serviced in the usual way the mechanic does it, and that's it. Likewise, in the same manner, you want to print a message in C programming. For example, have a look on this program. Here, there is one main function, and in main function, I am printing I am in main. And rest of the part, I have created functions which will modify my task and will do it quickly. What do this Italy, round parentheses and semicolon mean? This means function name, round parentheses and semicolon. It is function call. Function call means you are calling that particular function. This is function name, round parentheses, and there is no semicolon. Please note that. And this is syntax for function definition. What do function definition and call means? Definitions mean in function definition you are giving a particular task. Likewise, in Italy, I gave task to Italy that whenever I call you, print I am in Italy. In the same manner, I gave task to Brazil. I created one function Brazil, and in that function I defined that you have to do the task that you have to print I am in Brazil. And the same manner, I have created another function Argentina. So what happens here, in main function, first this message is printed, I am in main. Then I call Italy function. Then whatever task I have given to Italy, when I call Italy, this message gets printed, I am in Italy. Then it prints that I am finally back in main. Later on, I call Brazil. Brazil has a task to print I am in Brazil. Then Brazil prints the task that I am in Brazil. Later on, I call Argentina, and Argentina also prints I am in Argentina. And likewise, this whole program works. Hope you understood how function works and how to deal with that functions, right? Moving to the next, let's focus on how to pass values between the function. The very first type is with parameters with return type. Parameters are also known as arguments. Arguments are those which are passed into function to do some operation on them. Let's have a look on this program. Here in this main function, I have created one array and initialized with some values 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. Then I set a for loop to print those values. In this for loop, each value of this array is printed. Then I called my function which I have created. Where is this function? This function stands here, where in this function I have given a task to add 50 to each value of array. So what happens here? As soon as I passed a parameter int array means it is a pointer which holds the address of each values into this array. Here, add array of 0 means addresses of each values into this array is passed over to this pointer. This pointer holds the address of each value. Then, as here asterisk array is used means it is allowing each values to pass through the function and to enter through this function to do operations on it, that is adding 50 on it. As soon as 50 is added with each value, suppose for the first value 10 is passed and 10 plus 50 is 60. So this 60 value gets stored in A. Why I have written A? Because here at the first only we have told A, we have created A such a variable that whatever addition is being done into this function is stored in this A. That's why we are returning A. Then this A gets printed through the second for loop. And the output looks like this. Firstly, only the values 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 is printed. But as soon as we call the function does its task perfectly. It added 50 to each of the element and the output is like 60, 70, 80, 90 and 100 and so on. The next one is with parameters without return type. So let's have a look on this program first of all. So in this program, I have created a function add, but this time I have used void. Void means empty, means it will not return any kind of value, right? And in that I have passed parameters. That's why I called this type as with parameters without return type. So at the first, I accepted the values of A and B on which we have to do some operation through scanf, and then I called my function add. And I have given a task to add that whatever values we accepted through scanf, we have to do addition on them, and then those addition is stored in C. C is a variable, another variable which I have created explicitly to store the result, and then I printed that result, right? But what difference makes in before one and this type is that look at this main function. In this main function, I have written return 0. It means that this main function isn't returning anything to us, but this void function, this add function, in this add function, I am printing the result. That's why it is called with parameters without return type, because we are passing parameters, but we isn't asking to main to return us some value. And this is how the output looks like. Values entered, suppose, let's say 2 and 5 and addition is 7. Let's move further. And the further case comes like without parameters and without return type. So in this, here I have created one function that is void test, right? Again, I have used void. Void means I am not returning any kind of values. But also in this program, I am not passing any kind of parameters here. That's why it is called as without parameters and without return type. Observe this. I have explicitly mentioned that return 0. It means I am not returning any kind of value and no parameters is being passed into void test. So what happens here, in a main function, I firstly call my function which I have created, that is test. And what task I have given to test? That I have initialized two variables, a equals to 50 and b equals to 80. So what my void test will do, it will just simply print that values 50 and 80, and it will return nothing. It will just print, and the output seems to look like this: a equals to 50 and b equals to 80. And this time, note that I haven't passed any kind of parameter. In this printf statement, I have just mentioned that a equals to percent and b equals to percent d, a comma b. It means those values which I have initialized, only those values are getting printed. No explicitly parameters has been passed there. Okay. Moving to the next part, without parameters with return type. This is, have a look on this program now. Again, I have created a function sum. Now, look here, I haven't passed any kind of parameters here, but I am allowing my function to return whatever result I have stored. So what happens basically here, int addition, I created one variable, and in addition, I'm storing my result, which this sum function will calculate. So I called sum function. What sum function did? It accepted the value 50 and 80 and done the sum on them. That is, it added 50 plus 80, and it will return sum. Look here, I'm returning the value. That's why it is known as without parameters with return type. Means it is returning. It is returning something. As soon as it returns sum, this sum gets stored in addition, and then it prints the sum of two given values. And the output look like this. Sum of two given values equals to 130. Remember that this functions reduces our work, right? It reduces the rewriting of code. Any C program contains at least one function. If a program contains only one function, it must be main. Okay, if it contains only one function, at least one function must be contained in C programming, and it could be main. If a C program contains more than one function, then one and only one of this function must be main, because program execution always begins with main. There is no limit on the number of functions that might be present in a C program. You can create as many functions as many you want. There is no limitation. Each function in a program is called in the sequence specified by the function called in main, right? Whatever sequence I follow, as in previous you have seen that I firstly called Italy, then Brazil, then Argentina. Likewise, that function works as like you call them in such a sequence. Moving to the next, let's discuss about pointers. What are pointers? Pointers is variable which stores the address of another variable. And this is the syntax of pointer. Either you could create pointer and define it as int space asterisk pointer or int asterisk space pointer. Both are valid in C programming. Moving to the next, AND means address operator and asterisk means dereferencing or indirection operator. Always remember, wherever AND stands, it means it's holding the address of the values which is stored. And asterisk means dereferencing. Asterisk is always used to print values. Let's have a look on this program. In main function, I created one pointer and I also defined one variable q. In q, I stored 50. Then the address of q I have assigned to pointer which I have created. I have told you before that wherever AND is used, it means this is address of q and which we are assigning to pointer. Now, I am giving a message to printf to print asterisk pointer. What will it print? It will print 50. Why? Because asterisk means dereferencing or indirection operator. is the values which are stored at a specific address which you have assigned to pointer before. That's why it is printing 50. But what if I want to print only pointer? What it will print? It will print the address of value 50. Let's say 62250. So this is how pointer works. Now what's actually happening here is, firstly we created a variable q which is of integer type. We assigned a value 50 to it. And where did it store? It stored at 62250. Then again we created pointer, and in that pointer is holding the address of q, that is its value will be 62250. And pointer itself has address of 62252. Why? Because note that we have created int asterisk pointer, means pointer will take 4 bytes of memory. That's why pointer will be stored at 62252. These are some key points. Remember that wherever you will use asterisk pointer, it will print the values which is stored, and when you use pointer, it will print the address of value. Hope you got what are pointers actually. Now let's have a look on what are the operations in C on pointers. The very first is creation and variable. Like in before program, we created pointer and it was returning the variable's memory address. That is known as creation and variable. The next one is dereference. Dereference means printing value stored at pointer using asterisk pointer. Right? In before program, you've seen that we printed 50 by using asterisk pointer. The next one is indirect assignment. Indirect assignment means pointer equals to value stores value at address. Whatever values a variable has, that also gets stored at pointer, and that could be retrieved by using asterisk pointer. The next one is assignment. Pointer equals to pointer stores pointer in another variable. It means that once you created a pointer, whatever values present in that pointer could be stored in another variables too. The simplest pointer, actually it's a new type of pointer which I am going to introduce you. Special constant pointer null means a pointer which points to nothing. It is known as a simplest pointer. It points to no data. Dereferencing illegal causes segmentation fault. We are going to see this in later on lectures, but at the first, understand that this simplest pointer could be defined and could be included in stdlib.h, stdio.h. These are the two library files in which this null pointer is defined. Void pointer is also known as generic pointer in C. Take a note of it. Next one is dangling pointers. Let's have a look on this example. Here I created a character pointer. Char asterisk pointer equals to malloc const value. It means that I am allocating memory to a pointer. Means this pointer holds some memory. It has some memory where the values could be stored, where the addresses could be stored. But after that, I used free pointer. It means that I am making the pointer to point to nothing now, because at the very first pointer was pointing to the values where the characters were stored. To those addresses pointer was pointing. But after that I freed pointer and now pointer becomes dangling. Dangling means pointer becomes confused of where to point because it has no memory as I freed up it. So here pointers becomes confused and it points to invalid object address. What does invalid object address means? The objects which aren't on existence means it has no memory. It are already deallocated. They does not have any memory, but still pointer is pointing to those objects and those objects are known as invalid object address. Actually, pointers arises during object destruction. When an object that has an incoming reference is deleted or deallocated without modifying the value of the pointer, so that the pointer still points to the memory location of the deallocated memory. As the system may reallocate the previously freed memory to another process if the original program then dereferences. The now dangling pointer unpredictable behavior may result as the memory may now contain completely different data. This is especially the case if the program writes data to memory pointed by a dangling pointer. A silent corruption of unrelated data may result, leading to the subtle bugs that can be extremely difficult to find. To avoid this dangling pointer, null pointers are used. Right now, we see null pointers. This is how null pointers are created. Int asterisk pointer equals to null means I told pointer if you don't have any memory or any memory address to point, then you should point to nothing. But this pointer still points to the base address of segment. Always remember that null pointer points to the base address of segment. Yeah, it doesn't point to any data, but it points to the base address of segment. Clear? So let's move ahead. Next one. What if you don't assign the address of value to the pointer? Means, take this example. What here we have done? Here, pointer equals to and q means we are assigning q's address to pointer and pointer is holding it. But what if we don't assign any kind of address to pointer? Then there while pointers are created. While pointers are those which has not been initialized. Those are known as while pointers. When you don't give any kind of address to pointer, then while pointers are created. While pointer points to the unallocated memory address. It's somewhat like dangling, but dangling arises when it doesn't have any memory to point. And while pointer arises when you don't assign any kind of address to it. So, null pointer, when created, they point to those base address of a segment. And while pointers, when they got formed, they points to the unallocated memory addresses. Hey guys, thank you. See you in the next class.